I know you've addressed this on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast, you, Dan Lobby, Mary Kay Cabot. Why is Jameis Winston the right quarterback for the Browns still?
I mean, I think in general, you kind of know what you're getting with Jameis, but I think too, you look at this season and it's been such a disappointment, right? There's no denying it. It's been a disappointment for fans. It's been a disappointment for people inside the building. Jameis Winston, good or bad, interceptions or not, he is a character. I mean, I think some of the most fun and interesting stories from this season have obviously been Jameis Winston related. Obviously, after the Thursday night game against the Steelers, and obviously, even in the loss to the Broncos, that quote about praying for the Lord to deliver him from pick sixes. So it's those kind of things on top of his natural leadership ability. I think when you have a team that's 3-10, some locker rooms, and the Browns have been this team in the past, splinter and guys really are not showing up in the same way. I don't think we've seen that from this team yet. And I do think a big part of the reason is the veteran leadership they have. And I think Jameis Winston is a huge part of it. Like at this point in his career, Jameis Winston just is who he is, I think, as a quarterback. But some of those intangibles, I think, have sort of softened the blow of a 3-10 record. And in the short term, that's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, and I mentioned the running game. I'm curious if you're able to run the ball effectively, so you don't have to have Jameis Winston throw the ball 46, 61, how many ever times. If you have a run game, does that mitigate some of the turnovers? Because he's trying to make big plays, and he truly believes that arm of his, which is really good, can make every throw that he needs to. And sometimes I think that's what leads to some of the turnovers.
I agree. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it. And I think it's a problem that, it's multifaceted because you look at Ken Dorsey calling plays now, running the ball the same way the Browns were running the ball in like 2021, 2022. That's just not his style. He lost his job with the Bills because they didn't think they had enough of a run game going. I think, too, it's maybe made it easier for them to fall back into those pass game tendencies just because, number one, you have an arm like Jameis Winston's. He's going to occasionally make some big plays, and that's really enticing. But your run game just hasn't been very good all year. Nick Chubb is still working his way back. I said this on our post-game podcast yesterday. I think if Nick Chubb was the best version of Nick Chubb right now, it would make it so much easier to run the ball more. It would almost be like a no-brainer. But Nick Chubb is still working his way back, and we hear it all the time. These guys, when they come back from major knee injuries, even somebody who just has an ACL, and Nick had much more than that restructured in his knee. That was a major knee reconstruction, his second one on that leg. They oftentimes are not back to being the best version of themselves until a year post-return, not a year post-surgery, a year post-returning to play. So I think this is kind of what I expected from Nick, not necessarily getting that 5 yard per carry average. That's been the hallmark of his career. And I don't think that's anybody's fault. But I think without Nick Chubb being like that version of Nick Chubb, it's a lot more enticing to let Jameis Winston throw more. The problem is, as we've seen, when you let him throw 99 passes in 2 games, it's not really surprising that you're going to come away with 5 picks out of those 99 or so throws, just because that's the law of averages with who Jameis Winston is and the chances he's going to take.